Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Johanna Chan. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Another day, another record as COVID infections soar above 56,000. A harrowing time for foreign domestic workers who contract the virus. And Russian forces seize control of the Ukrainian city of Kherson. Hospitals have continued to struggle with a huge number of patients as daily COVID cases in the city climbed to a new high of over 56,000. The death toll in the fifth wave shot past 1,000. Hong Kong's daily COVID caseload continued its upward trend, rising to 56,827 today. Another 144 patients died, most of them elderly, taking the tally in the current wave to 1,153. One fatality was a 54-year-old man who had a positive result from a rapid test last Tuesday. A day later, he was admitted to United Christian Hospital with a fever and shortness of breath and was found to have a pulmonary blockage. He died yesterday. Health authorities said he had diabetes and hypertension, but had been able to care for himself. The case has been handed over to the coroner. Another 37 care homes have been hit by COVID, which infected over 500 residents and staff. So far, 710 care homes have seen infections in the fifth wave. The scheduled launch this week of an online self-reporting platform for rapid antigen tests has been delayed.
We estimate that there might be hundreds of thousands of people tested positive by our AT, but we could not obtain that information at this moment.
With public hospitals struggling to keep up, the Chinese University's medical center has offered 24 beds for patients with mild symptoms. This came as the hospital authority added more fans in rooms to improve airflow. The government will set up 500 stations across the city for the mass testing exercise, sources say. A website will be launched for people to register. The arrangements were discussed at a meeting at government headquarters this afternoon, sources said. The participants included Anthony Wu, chairman of Sunrise Diagnostic Center. An entire family can book the tests in any district, but the personal data of each member must be provided. Senior citizens who are not familiar with the internet can register in post offices. An outreach team will also help the elderly with the procedures. The COVID crisis is taking a heavy toll on the city's foreign domestic helpers, who are already under stress because of strict social distancing measures. Some were forced to sleep on the streets after testing positive. Winna Wong reports.
Foreign domestic helper Jean was set to start a new job last month, but a routine COVID test came back positive.
When I told to my new employer that I'm preliminary positive, and they told me that I need to move out in their house to go to the Queen Mary Hospital.
Doctors gave her a checkup, some medicine, then told her she needed to leave.
Then my boss don't want me to come back because they have a kids. So it's very dangerous. Then they throw us away outside the hospital. They shout at us, they pointed his finger on us. Then, oh my God, like that in my mind. Why they doing like that to us? We work here. Then we work here. We didn't intention to have a case like this. But when they shout at us, I cannot talk. I don't know how to express my feelings. Why they doing like that to us?
Jean spent 2 days on the curb near the hospital before a charity took her to a shelter where she stayed until a place at Penny's Bay opened up. Jean's grim story is not unique. The group Help for Domestic Workers has handled over 70 similar cases in the past 2 weeks alone. The homelessness often comes suddenly, with no time for the helpers to prepare.
All of them have suffered intense trauma. The common feeling among them is that of fear and uncertainty because they're not sure of what the future holds.
So after everything that has happened to you, do you still want to go back to your employer? Are you mad at them?
Little bit, ma'am, because I think they are the one who are responsible for me. It's not their fault, ma'am, to have a COVID like this, a situation like this. So maybe I can understand also for them.
you still want to work for them.
Yeah, because I need to work. I need to work for the future of my son.
The Labor Department has warned employers who dismiss COVID-infected domestic helpers face a fine of up to $100,000 and may be banned from hiring again. Winna Wong, HKIBC.
Jailed former lawmakers Albert Ho and Lee Chuk-yan have tested positive for COVID, according to sources. Ho is serving time in Stanley Prison and Lee in Shek-Pik Prison, and both took the rapid antigen test. The Correctional Services Department said about 1,000 inmates have come down with the virus, and around 1,000 prison officers, including those who were in close contact with infected inmates, were unable to report for duty. Prison visits have been suspended for the next 17 days. The department's facilities at Cape Collinson, Sha Tsui, and part of Phoenix House will be converted into isolation facilities. COVID has affected public transport in Hong Kong, with MTR and bus services reduced from tomorrow after hundreds of workers fell ill. Sun Ferry suspended 2 routes starting today. Chloe Feng reports.
The MTR Corporation is reducing services on 8 lines because over 1,500 workers have been affected by COVID and are in quarantine. The arrangement will affect peak and non-peak services on weekdays on the East Rail, Tsuen Wan, Kwun Tong, Island, South Island, Tsuen Kun O, Tung Chung, and Tuen Ma lines. East Rail services on weekends will also be affected. The railway operator said passengers will have to wait up to 4 minutes longer, but those changing lines may have to wait for 10 minutes. 5 bus companies will also suspend 104 routes from tomorrow for 12 days because of a staff shortage. Most of the routes are run by KMB. The government said it gave the green light because people can take other buses on similar routes. KMB's number 1 bus usually takes 40 minutes to travel between Chu Yun Estate and Tin Sha Tsui Pier. When its service is suspended, passengers can opt for 11K, but they have to transfer at Hong Ham Station. The journey will take 20 minutes longer. This passenger said she will have to wake up earlier to catch the bus before it gets too crowded. Other passengers said it might cost more to take other buses. KMB's number 6 costs $5.40 for the ride between Lai Chi Kok and Tin Sha Tsui. But passengers may have to pay between $6.20 and $9.40 using different buses. Sun Ferry, meanwhile, has suspended sailings between North Point and Hong Han and North Point and Kowloon City after 360 staff were confirmed with COVID. Chloe Fong, HKIBC.
Fresh supplies of pork and beef could return to normal next Wednesday after all workers at the Sheungshui slaughterhouse undergo COVID tests on Sunday. Hui Wai-kin, who heads the Pork Traders General Association, said staff must test negative before going back to work. Speaking on RTHK this morning, Hui said only 10% of employees can enter the abattoir for the time being. He thanked the 38 mainland butchers who are in Hong Kong to help. The slaughterhouse closed last Saturday after several workers were infected. Overseas, Russia has captured the city of Kherson as it ramped up its offensive to bring a defiant Ukraine to its knees. Fighting continued to rage in other major cities, while Moscow, for the first time, admitted that it suffered casualties. Sarah Wong reports.
The Ukrainian city of Kherson succumbed to Russian forces after days of heavy shelling as Moscow's offensive entered its second week. The city north of Russian-controlled Crimea is the first major Ukrainian urban center to fall since the incursion began.
Opened up my window and I saw the tanks that are literally standing 10 meters away from my house. And their soldiers, they're firing warning shots, just telling civilians to go back in, and there are people running on the street. It was horrifying.
The southern port city of Mariupol could be next, as hours of constant shelling are feared to have killed hundreds and cut off electricity and power. The invading forces also intensified the bombing of the northeastern hub of Kharkiv, sending panicked residents fleeing for their lives. The capital, Kyiv, is still resisting after days of explosions and is bracing for a Russian armed convoy inching ahead. But food and fuel shortages, as well as mechanical breakdowns, slow the events over 30 kilometers away from its destination. More Ukrainian civilians joined in the defense of their country, including this 81-year-old teacher who picked up a rifle instead of chalk. Apart from logistical challenges, Moscow is forced to confront the growing losses suffered by its forces. For the first time, the Russian Defense Ministry conceded that nearly 500 of its soldiers were killed in the past week of fighting. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky claimed as many as 9,000 Russian troops were dead and urged the rest to surrender. Sarah Wang, HKIBC.
And coming up after the break. Oil jumps to $120 a barrel on supply fears. And Roman Abramovich is selling football club Chelsea as the West targets Russian tycoons.